Welcome back to the real estate. Can you shut your mouth, dude? We're doing an introduction right now.
About that Bill Burr, but no, stop. That's not a no.
I am your host, Mike Weinstein, alongside Justin Frederick and Ryan Gerdes. There are two types of people in the world. And depending on how you answer this question is going to impact our friendship moving forward.
Okay. I'm excited for this.
Mm-hmm. You have those that still hold on and believe that Pluto is a planet, and those that don't. Pluto is a planet. Pluto got ripped off by some stupid astronomer whom should be strung up and...
Damn.
Yeah,
I agree.
I'm a Pluto guy.
I'm Team Pluto.
I'm Team Pluto for sure. I mean, I grew up with it. There's no way that I'm going to say it's not a planet anymore.
All right, well,
and it was, that it was discovered over there at Lowell Observatory, I believe,
yeah,
here in
right.
Flagstaff, Arizona. So, I don't have a choice.
All right, well, we're going to be talking about new builds, not necessarily a planetary explanation. You're going to want to text the word Pluto to 623.
Where'd that come from?
I've been working on it for 3 days, bro. I've been working on this, right? I get really passionate about Pluto haters because I hate them. But go ahead and text the word Pluto to 623 AZ Recon. The reason that I bring it up, Phoenix Republican Representative Justin Wilmelth has proposed a bill that Governor Hobbs has signed off on, recognizing Pluto as Arizona's state planet. Like, we have as a state an official planet, and it is Pluto.
What are we doing here?
Jesus.
This is what we're spending money on? Oh my God.
I'm feeling the hatred now. I'm feeling the hatred.
We didn't need to go that
There's
far.
a time and place. Unless
We can agree to agree on that, you know?
Yeah, unless we can get like a tax APN number that we can actually buy and sell real estate on Pluto, then the hell are we doing?
I hear there's some great fix and flip opportunities on the planet of Pluto. Just getting there is a problem. Well, way back when, during the COVID days and the year following that, when the market was just crazy, interest rates were mid-high twos, all the builders went out and borrowed all of this money. And so now we have buyers, and we've had several buyers right now walk into new builds, and it's mostly inventory homes. If you buy an inventory home that's going to close in 30, 60, 90 days, builders are offering these incredible interest rates that other lenders and banks can't offer. And we're talking about interest rates in the high fours, mid fives. And they've been a phenomenal opportunity and a phenomenal deal because you can't, well, we bought a couple,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
5.5%. But we always tell people, you always got to read the fine print. And you should always, if you're buying a new build, you should still always talk to another lender, have them compare. You got to compare apples to apples, and you got to compare all the costs. And so, Justin, you're finding now that the builders are changing up some things, adding some costs, and just because you're now getting this builder incentive of $8,000, $9,000, and then you're going to buy down the rate, when you really dig deep into all of these loan costs, not all of them are as good as it looks and as good as they tell you it is.
Yeah, and just like you said, always let another lender take a look at it and lean on us. We're not going to charge you anything to look into your settlement statement or your loan estimate for your new build, but you'll be surprised at what we come up with sometimes. I mean, I would say still 7 times out of 10 right now we're going to give you an honest answer, and 7 times out of 10 right now we're like, go, move forward with them. That's an incredible deal. I can't touch it. I can't match it. I can't even come close. Let's go forward with them. But it's always good to take a look at it. Now, in some cases, we're getting people that are calling us up, hey, I was told to have you take a look at it, but they're giving me $7,500 in incentives to use their lender. So I just don't think it's worth my time. Well, please just send over your loan estimate. Let me take a look at it. And what we're finding is the origination fees are much higher. It's creative accounting. Basically, they're giving you this money, but they're putting it back on the settlement sheet. So they're not actually giving you an incentive. And then what we've also been finding is we found that their interest rates are coming in higher than what our average rates are. So I feel like they're giving out this incentive as a psychological tactic to just get you to settle in with them, and thinking that you're not going to even check it out with other lenders. So, this last week we've been having some really good luck on this, and we were able to win over 3 new build deals that were already under contract, already underway. They're midway through their build, and we're finding out that their rate's not that great. Their program's not that great. Give up the incentive and come over because we're winning by thousands.
Well, at the very least, get that second opinion if you're thinking about walking into a new build, or you are under contract with a new build and you're working with the builder's lender. Let Justin and his team take a second look at that. All you got to do is text the word PLUTO, and I'm not even going to say the word PLUTO while looking at you, Ryan, but text the word PLUTO to 623 AZ Recon. That's PLUTO to 623 AZ Recon. You know, Ryan, I think what's lost on a lot of people, they say, yeah, well, I'm working with the builder's lender. Okay, just pause for a second and analyze that statement. It is the builder's lender. Okay, the builder wants to make money in every which way that they can. And sometimes the incentives are great, but the builder is not our friend. And they don't want to give up money. They're not. There's no such thing as
It's
such thing
business.
as free in life,
Yeah.
right? And it's just understanding that, though.
Friend or not, I mean, they're a for-profit entity, right? And so they need to recover any type of expenses they may have had. And I think that probably one of the things that I didn't quite understand when I first got into the real estate industry was how lenders get paid. I always thought that, okay, they have origination, and then, the appraisal money goes over to the appraiser, and then the underwriting fee goes over to the underwriter. I didn't quite understand how all of it really panned out. And then as I got involved a little bit more, and Justin, feel free to jump in, but there's 2 ways that lenders get paid, on the front and the back, okay? So there's fees that they charge up front, and it can come in an assortment of different ways. They can call it all kinds of different things. And this is one of the things I've really appreciated about working with you guys, because there's just so much transparency there. And it's funny, like, even, I don't mean to derail it all, but like with the whole thing going on with NAR as far as transparency, it's hard to tell exactly what a lender is getting paid, because most of it is, being dictated by Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. And then you don't really see what you're paying until you get to that truth in lending statement. So all that being said, understanding that if I walk into a bank and get the same loan that somebody else does, if I'm a lender, I'm getting different rates. And I'm getting commission based on what rate I'm selling, because they're going to, let's just use 3 and 4, right? If I can get it for 3, but John Doe, borrower gets it at 4, then whatever I charge between that 3 and 4 is an actual commission. That's what they call getting paid on the back. And with some of these builders, that's where they're living. They're living in there, and then they're also nickel and diming all these other fees to make up for that other $7,500 or $10,000 incentive that they're giving to a borrower. So now all of a sudden it isn't quite as sexy, because, well, I only have to make 6 payments before before the lender's made whole and starting to actually make profits based off of what that incentive was. Do you want to add anything to that, Justin?
Yeah, I mean, it's all creative accounting. I mean, there's margins built into interest rates, and some of them don't build margins into interest rates or don't charge upfront fees, but then it comes through the backside on the interest rate itself. So just like you guys were saying, nothing in life is for free. We're operating businesses. There's ways that it's built in, whether it's through different fees or through the interest rates. You really just got to make sure that you trust who you're working with. They explain everything up front, and they give you the paperwork up front so you can review it, and just do a quick Google search. what's the average interest rate of today? And make sure you're in with that within that margin based on what your credit scores are. I mean, if you have struggling credit, you're not going to be close to that interest rate. If you have fantastic credit, well, you should be probably a little bit better than what the Google interest rate is.
Yeah, and when you're taking a look at these loan estimates that the builder's lender or all lenders, I mean, if you're not in the business, it looks like a foreign language.
It is
you
a
just
foreign
see
language.
numbers and abbreviations, and it's really hard to know where all the money's going, and we just get stuck on maybe just the one number, the interest rate, or we get stuck on what the builder's concession is and incentives are.
I would say just a general spot to look at. So a loan estimate is a general document that's required. All of us are required to use. So that's something that will happen once the file's disclosed to you. It's not something that you can get up front. You'd have to go through credit pulls and contracts need to come in. But if you're looking at a loan estimate and it's the standard loan estimate, look in Section A on what those charges are under Section A on your loan estimate. That's the lender's charges. So that's where you need to compare differences from, not the B section or C section. Those are all different companies' charges. But Section A is your lender fees and your lender charges. No matter what they say their names are, it's the lender's fees. So take a look at that and compare apples to apples right there.
Well, if you are looking for a second opinion, you're under contract with a builder, or you're thinking about buying a new build, or you're just thinking about buying a home, or under contract with any other lender for any type of home, it doesn't really matter. You need a second opinion. You need to talk to Justin and his team. All you have to do is text the word PLUTO to 623-AZ-RECON. That's PLUTO to 623-AZ-RECON. Ryan, I want to kind of go full circle and kind of talk about our relationship and our role in all of this. There is always the temptation for a buyer to walk into a new builder without representation. And I think it's just a huge mistake, because the moment that you walk in, there's that placard. If you're working with an agent, they must accompany you on your first visit. And the moment that you walk in, you forfeit the right to representation. And part of what we do as your representative is to have these discussions about lender incentives, as well as a myriad of other things, because there's a ton of people right now that they're in new builds. They're not under contract. They've moved in. They've got mortgages, and they're paying more than what they could have had they gone the second opinion route.
So I'm going to start at the very beginning with it, because most buyers, they've been wired to understand the resale contract. And the resale contract is written for buyers, for the benefit of buyers. There is not one new builder contract out there that's written for the benefit of the buyer. It is completely different. It is 100% at the benefit of the seller/builder. So, I mean, take any element of a purchase process into it, and it's going to be, okay, seller/builder gets to do whatever they want. Buyer, if you're not good with it, then pound sand, goodbye, or we're taking your money, right? So just up front, understanding what you're signing, I think is just a very important thing to have, because there's some things that we're just not going to be able to change. Some things we don't want to change. They're there for a reason. But all that being said, I can make sure that you understand what it is that you're signing. On top of that, going into the negotiations, we did one last week where they had looked at it and they had completely ruled it out, and then we went back. We went over there. We were able to negotiate with the builder and got $130,000 off of it, and they threw in a free landscaping package, and we're using Justin over their lender. So it's a package deal whenever it comes to the negotiation, because you have to look at every single element where money is being spent.
Such a great point, because when you walk into a builder, you think everything just is what it is. What they tell you is what it is, and it can be an intimidating process. And a lot of buyers don't understand that there is, or could be, there's not always, but there could be a lot of room for negotiating. And but the normal person, the average buyer, doesn't walk into a new build understanding that. And if you don't have representation and working with an agent that knows how to negotiate with builders, you're just leaving money on the table.
Well, go ahead.
I'm going to say this too. I mean, because I get to see these transactions happen from all over the place, and I'm going to say that there's a lot of agents out there that don't even know that you can negotiate with new builds or what it entails working with somebody at a new build. It is very important that you're working with somebody that knows new builds and how they operate, and you guys are wonderful at it. But I'm going to say that wouldn't you love to go into, let's just say, a Ford dealership with like somebody that was just the GM at Ford, understanding what they do in their back ends and all that good stuff? And that's why I would walk in with you guys to a new build. I feel like you guys have so much experience throughout all the new builds throughout the valley. I would be dumb not to. I'd be dumb not to.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, man. Even if we went to one that
I was
going
going
to
to insult
negotiate.
you with something, but I can't now. You're being too nice.
And that's the truth. That's the truth right there.
Well, and I think that so many people walk into these negotiations with builders, and they think that they're just going to roll up their sleeves and dazzle them and this and that and
I think the same thing every time I walk in to buy a new car. Right? I think I've got it this time. I bought so many cars, and I walk out going, I think I got screwed somehow.
Yeah. That, number one, you have to walk in with the mindset that you will crumple up that contract without hesitation if the numbers aren't right. And then number two, you negotiate with justification. All right? So there's a price tag on everything out there, and you need to find which elements are either working for or against you, and then put a number next to that, and then have that discussion with them, because they know that they're building a brand new product. They all have to offer certain warranties per the Register of Contractors. A lot of them are using the same subcontractors to build to do drywall or to do roof or whatever. They don't keep these people on their payroll. These are independent contractors that they're being general contractors. They're managing the situation. They're drawing up the plans. They're conceptualizing it. And then that's what you're ultimately buying, right? And so if you can say, hey, look, there was a flaw in this concept, or there's a flaw in this floor plan or whatever, here's the number that I put next to it, and here's how we can get across the finish line in order to close this transaction. That's what these people listen to. That's the type of negotiating that they need in order to get what you want.
Yeah, and I know it could be tough. You know, you're driving home from church on Sunday or driving home from your kid's ball game on Saturday, and we've all seen these big, giant American flags on the 100-foot, flag poles, and you feel patriotic, and I'm buying a home. This is the American dream, and whatever the case is. And they're like, I'm just going to pop in. Again, if you just pop in without representation, you're forfeiting your right to representation. And again, you possibly could be leaving money on the table. It is by far, like our client, I remember they called me. They're like, hey, we're just popping over here to a completely different part of town. And they knew. Check in with us before they walk in, and because they checked in with us before they walked in, you were able to negotiate the things that you outlined a few minutes ago.
Yep.
So, all right, we would love to have that conversation with you and walk you through the new build process. And you don't have to like us, but you want us when you're negotiating. All you got to do is text the word PLUTO. Did you know, by the way, they think that they've discovered frozen liquid underneath the surface of Pluto? I'm just saying, it's a planet. Text the word PLUTO to 623-AZ-RECON. Again, text the word PLUTO to 623-AZ-RECON.